want to have them not pull the crowd back?
Huh?
Have them put the rest of the crowd down on the first floor?
All right, good evening. Welcome to the City of North Miami Beach budget hearing of Tuesday, September 10th, 2024. Can we get a roll call, please, Madam Clerk?
Commissioner Chernoff?
Here.
Commissioner Florimon is running late. Commissioner Jean? Commissioner Joseph? Commissioner Smuckler?
Present.
Vice Mayor Phyllis Smith?
Present.
Mayor Evan Piper?
Here.
Quorum has been established. Thank you.
Thank you. Okay, so I need a motion and second to introduce 2.1.
So moved.
Second.
Okay. Now we need the city attorney to read the title unless someone else can do it. Need it? Okay. All right. Finish up that egg roll. Come on.
Take your time. No one wants to see the debate tonight.
All right.
He probably wants to see the debate more than anyone.
Yeah.
Sure, but duty first. And by the way, just one thing. In the meantime, I wanted to just, with us up here, do we have any time frames that we want to try to work within?
Yeah, 10 o'clock.
Commissioner, what'd you say?
Just as quick as you can. I mean, I know we've had like, what, 3 budget workshops? I mean,
Right.
I don't know, I'm just saying like,
8:30 the most.
Yeah. Just to clarify, Mr. Mayor, we've had multiple workshops. I think the most we've had in a very long time when it comes to budget. We've had individuals conversations. So I would hope that we could speed this through, and because this is our first one, we have another one, right? And if there's any issues, we can also have discussions or make any changes in the meantime, or make suggestions. We just have to. This is the initial first step, just like how we do with the millage, and then we move forward. So,
All right.
thank you.
Yeah, so I guess if we can target no later than 8:30, I think that would make everybody happy here. So we just need to all work together to, why am I keep looking at you? We all need to work together to make sure that happens.
2.1, resolution
2.1.
number R 2024-97, tentative millage rate for fiscal year 2025. Sharon Stewart, Budget Administrator. Resolution of the Mayor and Commission of the City of North Miami Beach, Florida, establishing and adopting the tentative levying of ad valorem taxes for the City of North Miami Beach for fiscal year 2024-25 in the amount of 6.1000 mils, which is 9.62% higher than the rolled back rate, to balance the general fund. Establishing the rolled back rate to be 5.5647 mils, establishing the debt service millage rate at 0.2232 mils, providing for implementation and providing for an effective date.
Make a motion to approve.
second.
Okay, all right, well, hang on. I think we have a couple things to do here first, so before we do it.
And Mayor, for the record, just before you even do, just for the record,
Yep.
because we are required by law, even though it's in the title, the record should reflect the proposed millage rate of 6.1000 is higher than the rolled back rate, which is established to be 5.5647 mils by 9.62%.
Okay, all right, who's going to be speaking on behalf of the city on this item?
I will, sir. I'll be doing the only presentation, scheduled presentation, although staff is here to answer any questions. So typically, the budget determines the millage, but the millage determines the budget. And so up to the commission, there's a couple different ways that we can move forward. Sometimes what is preferred is to table the millage and then go into the budget, and then table the budget, go back to the millage, or just do the straight millage as a vote. I think that's how we did it last time, and then just go into the budget. But again, it's up to the commission as a whole.
I know we can't do it without public hearing, but I'm for this. Mike.
I know we did it last time. Just approve. I guess move forward approving the millage and having a public comment prior to, and then moving on to the budget.
Right. Okay, I'm in favor of that. Okay. All right, good. So Madam Clerk, public comment, please.
Good evening. The Mayor and Commissioners of the City of North Miami Beach has opened the meeting for public comment at this time. There is a 3-minute time limit for each speaker. Speaker, you will be called to the podium. Please state your name or the name of the organization which you are representing. Please speak only on the subject matter before the commission. The Mayor and Commissioner of the City of North Miami Beach recognizes the importance of civility. The first speaker is Amy Salzman and then Jose Diaz.
Good evening. I'm Amy Salzman. This is Devorah Salzman. I brought her up because we're friends and users of the NMB library, and we want to speak on their behalf for the budget. Okay. So the community really wants...
Speak a little closer to the microphone. Thank you.
Better?
Much better.
Great. The community wants a completely functional library, including weekends, with enough staff to support families and much-needed programs. The library's been waiting for repairs, just like many of the other city buildings have already gotten, including hurricane-proof windows, doors to protect the building and all the treasures inside, and including bathrooms also, please. Repairing and maintaining our building is only a fraction of the cost to build a whole new building. Also keeping in mind that building a modern library takes a specialized architect, which would also cost a lot of money and difficult to find. So, in short, what we'd like is a budget so that we could have better programming, opening on the weekends, with staff for that, and to have more programming. It will help the city of North Miami Beach. Thank you. Thank you.
Okay, thank you very much.
She was singing my song.
Jose Diaz.
Good evening. My name is Jose Diaz. I'm just a regular citizen I live in 16930 Northeast 6th Court. There's a small house right there. I've been right there. The city's been kind of like, in my case, been increasing their property taxes, and in my situation, by more than 27% to almost 35%. It's like really high for me. I really don't see how you're, increasing our property taxes can really beneficial for the city. I mean, to be honest, 2024 has been kind of hard for today's citizens, where we just really trying to do the best to survive. The cost and everything is a little bit too much, and then the people who are not here to represent themselves because they're all busy probably working 2 or 3 jobs is a little bit too much for anybody to handle. In my case, I inherited a house from my mother, passed away in 2019. And my property taxes rose from that to very high from what she was paying. During that time, she was paying like $1,200 a year. But then when I took over the house, it was up to like $5,000. And then it just, every year just keeps on increasing. And this year is a lot worse because it's more than what you're asking for. For me, you guys, for taxes right here, for column 4, you're asking about $8,821.89, while column 5, you're asking for $9,676.29. I really try my best to really,
He's looking at his trim. We need to that needs to be explained.
Right. Explain it. Go ahead. Go.
But regardless, in general, I don't see us, spending more money to the city. I feel we should be more focusing on trying to maintain what we have for now, for this year. After the election year, maybe we could see progress to this city. Because as of right now, everybody who lives in my neighborhood right now is trying to either move out or leave, and leaving their homes to just developers and trying to overstack their properties to, like, you're expecting somebody to come in to spend about $700,000 for a 3-bedroom and 2-bathroom house. I don't see any potential citizens, regular citizens, who could benefit the city itself to actually maintain what we have. Because as of right now, a lot of us are going to be moving out to an area that is going to be able to pay more, for wages and stability right there, and then nothing. And then the only thing that's going to have is mostly just empty homes for vacation
15
homes.
seconds.
and nothing more. So without the proper people to able to maintain the city, you guys gonna be just have a bunch of rich people who doesn't want to do anything. So this talk about you guys want to do a garage thing on.
Time.
Oh, I'm sorry. Thank you.
Actually,
you very much.
That's a county issue. The taxes is county. Go to your tax assessor
Yes,
in Dade County. We don't set the
no, but
taxes here.
I just
Some of those taxes are us, but most of it is the county, the school board. We actually lowered our millage, but it's also possible that that difference that you said after your mother died, that it went up, it's because of the homestead or because of the name change that may have raised it because triggered it.
I guess in my case is when I tried to get the homestead exemption, there was some difficulties for me to earn it. And the problem is I was able to earn it at 2023 when the market value is as high as peak. So when I received the homestead exemption, they reassessed my house to the highest it can be right now. So I'm trying to do what I can to able to stay here and be part of the community. But it's been very, very difficult for me as someone who's lived here for almost 20 years to saying, maybe it's time for me to leave because the city itself doesn't want us, people that live down here, to, do more to the city.
Madam Clerk, what was the address?
My address is 16930 Northeast 6th Court, North Miami Beach, Florida, 33162.
159?
169.
169.
Thank you.
Yeah, by 170th and between 6th and...
6th Court. It is 6th Ave. I'm a corner house. It basically is directly it's basically, I'm near Sable Palm Elementary School.
Right across the street.
Like
No, that's 171.
That's
It's a couple blocks back.
It's basically the first right, and then you make a left, and you make a left to the school.
Yeah.
No, he lost his tax 3% because they turned over the deed to.
Well, and you don't have homestead exemption either, right?
I have it now.
Oh,
Because I was forced to, because they were going to reassess my value regardless, so I had to safeguard for the future if I actually still wanted to stay within the city. And they safeguard me for not paying, because I don't know what's going to happen next year. Who knows what's going to happen? Maybe you guys want to increase 50%. Who knows? But regardless, it's the budget itself, and I feel like we need to be more stable of what we're spending.
yeah, you might even have an appeal case possibly if...
I have, and I already am about to do that. I'm being more proactive this year of what I can do.
Right.
But I still like to give an opinion of the city itself. Since it's not, I know this is a terminal, it's just for me, but as I took in what's going on in the city itself, it's a pretty clear indication that not much people, our citizens, are coming here to give concerns, and the people who are here are the ones who have money and power and willing to do things behind the citizens' back, or people are not aware of.
Yeah.
It's more ignorant and dumbfounded that people can try to take advantage of this city and not to improve it.
Yeah. Well, I'm really glad that you're setting the right example, and there should be more people coming out. So I thank you very much.
Thank you, sir.
Okay. All right, so now, anybody else for public comment?
Did you have any doubt?
Good evening, everyone. My name is Mubarak Azan. I listened to that gentleman, and you multiply his story by 5,000, or even if it's 500, that is what is going through with the city. Not only this city, but many other cities. And we need to live within our budget. We need to try to help the homeowners and the renters, because even if you rent out a property, that property owner is not going to swallow the expenses that the city imposes upon him or her. They're going to pass it on to the renters. So everybody is reeling. You guys had raised it up to 6.7 millage rate. We called up several of you, spoke, we wrote. and you kept it at a 6.1 instead of the 6.7. I thank you guys very much for that. The city manager wanted to know how he would have lived without the 6.7. Well, we are living quite okay without the 6.7. We are down to 6.1, and we could even lower it further. I also want to make a side comment. I think you have a gentleman as a city manager, a gentleman. And I'm grateful for having a city manager like that, being a gentleman. But somehow he needs to move a little faster. That is all. And you 7 people up there have to move your city manager faster. This honeymoon thing that we're on year after year, and it's been going on for even before he came. You know, you're trying to know where the washrooms are in the city. You should know where the washrooms are in the city within the first month. Yes, Commissioner Smith.
Wants to hear every word. I don't want to miss a word, Mr. Kassan. Thank you.
Yes, so that, we could even lower it more. You just have to spend better. I know that the CIT funds are like different from here, but that is another bit of money that is not spent properly. Half of you know the freebie guy, and the other half know the trolley guy. And so you come together and you spend 96% of the CIT funding. 96%, when you're only supposed to be spending 20%, you spend 96. And the other 4% is left back for the road markings, trimming the trees, all the safety issues, filling the potholes. It doesn't work like that. Where are your lobbyist friends here? None of them are here. They don't care how this city runs.
Time.
Thank you very much.
Thank you. Anybody else for public comment? Okay. Let the public comment.
Good evening, Mayor and Commissioner. My name is Ketli Joachim, and I'm a longtime member in the city of North Miami Beach. One of the reasons I'm here tonight is because of this budget. One of the things we want to ask as a member of the Commission of Status of Women, I know there's a lot of cuts, a lot of events have been cut, but we would like to keep the Heart Health Walk. It is something that we have done for years, and it is not just the commission, it is everyone, because this thing impact women, impact adult children, and everyone else. So as much as if you balance it, there are 2 events in the city that's well attended. That is a domestic violence walk, which the police department always put together, and then the Commission of Status of Women with this Heart Health Walk. No matter what you cut tonight, we would vary, the residents of the city are asking to keep the Heart Health Walk in the budget. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Okay. Anyone else for public comment? All right. Let the record reflect that no one came forward and public comment is closed. Anything from the commissioners? No? No. Okay. Then we'll need a motion and a second and a roll call.
Commissioner Chernoff?
Yes.
Commissioner Jean?
Yes.
Commissioner Joseph? Commissioner Smuggler?
Yes.
Vice Mayor Phyllis Smith?
Yes.
Mayor Piper?
Yes.
Motion passes 6-0.
Okay. Thank you. All right. I need a motion and second to introduce 2.2.
Motion.
We're at the motion. Need a second, please?
Second.
Okay. All right. And Mr. Attorney, making your second debut.
Yes, sir. This is top speed. Resolution number 2.2, resolution number R 2024-98, adopting the tentative fiscal year 2025 budget. Sharon Stewart, Budget Administrator. A resolution of the Commission of the City of North Miami Beach, Florida, adopting the tentative annual budget for the fiscal year commencing October 1st, 2024 and ending September 30, 2025. Also authorizing the expenditure of funds appropriated in the budget. Acknowledging the levy and collection of taxes on real and personal property and other revenues necessary to meet the expenditures provided in the budget. Providing for transmittal by the city clerk. Confirming additional powers and conditions. Authorizing encumbrances and carry forward. Providing for implementation and providing for an effective date.
Okay. Now you're going to be speaking on this, and then I guess at that point we'll do public comment after you speak. So.
Okay. If I can get the PowerPoint up. Some of these slides are informational, but I thought it was worth having on there, so I'll speed through some of these. As we know, North Miami Beach provides almost all services and amenities to residents, businesses, and visitors that visitors depend on every single day, which includes safe roads, police, parks, recreational activity, water and sewer services, library services, and so much more. On a yearly basis, the City Commission adopts a city budget. By statute, the budget runs from October 1st to September 30th. Essentially, what the city budget is, it's an annual plan for how much revenues the city anticipates to receive, where those revenues will come from, and how those revenues will be spent during the fiscal year. State law requires that the city adopt a balanced budget, so revenues must equal expenditures, and we cannot appropriate more money than it plans to receive. The budget is based on the city administration's assessment of the needs of the city, direction from the city commission, best practice, master plans, legislative matters, and input from our residents and constituents. We strive to develop a budget that will aid in the achievement in the long terms. We have several goals that we've been working on in this budget cycle. We're looking at, and I've kind of listed those groupings here, a strategic plan for a thriving community, a long-term vision for what this community will look like. And we're currently in that process with FIU on both on economic impact and feasibility, as well as a strategic vision plan in which recently finished a focus group sessions, and we'll be going into a town hall phase next. Community communications for an engaged community, something that we've been working on, and you'll be receiving a updated strategic communications plan soon. I know our new communications manager has been reaching out to you all for discussion on it as well. Economic development for resiliency and growth. Again, part of the FIU studies that we got going on, it's really important. The better that we can have an economic basis on the commercial side, that loosens up the pressure of what's needed from ad valorem and for our residents. So having a strong economic impact is important for the city. Data-driven performance management. We want to use data analytics to make important decisions, be able to take a look at assessments and areas that we need to improve on in a objective fashion instead of just relying subjectively on gut feeling. And also trying to make sure that we have financial sustainability for a healthy and thriving community. No, sorry about that. So typically what this slide shows is the process in which budgets are typically done. You have departments that begin the planning for the upcoming fiscal year early in the calendar year. They then submit that to the finance department, which then meets with the city manager's office and various department heads. We then propose that to the city commission. We hold our workshops, we hold our first hearing like we are today. Those revisions are made throughout that process. Once you adopt it, we begin the implementation. We monitor throughout the area, and if there's any budget amendments that are needed, we do that throughout the year. Basically, a budget is structured The city budget is separated into distinctive categories, what is typically called funds. These funds are operating funds, capital improvement. They help track the balances and the cash flow that comes into the city and out of the city. There are three distinct type of funds that we look at: governmental funds, proprietary funds, and fiduciary funds. Here, I just kind of break down what the definitions of those type of funds are: general, special revenue, debt, capital projects, permanent, enterprise, inter-service funds, and fiduciary funds, things of those nature. So essentially, how are tax dollars calculated per property? Essentially, the county does a evaluation of all the properties, and a millage rate represents the amount taxed per $1,000 of that taxable value of the property. In North Miami Beach, excuse me, the current proposed millage rate is 6.1, which is a flat rate year over year. That means for every $1,000, for every $100,000, the property tax is $610,000. So here, and there is a small error, but I'll correct it. As you'll see, the operating millage has remained flat for the past 3 fiscal years. Debt millage has been going down over the past 3 years, from 0.47 to 0.41 last year to this year as a 0.22. The overall millage is a reduction from 6.5 down to a 6.3. The rollback rate, which is where we see the area, I apologize, this is a slide. I thought I updated all the numbers, but I didn't. The current rollback rate is 5.5647, not 5.53. This slide you've all seen in the workshops as well. This is just a quick example of what at different property assessed values are, what the increase from one year to the next. Again, even though the operating millage remains flat, it's the value of the property that determines how much actual taxes are done. To the gentleman's point earlier, for every dollar that is paid in property taxes, 35 cents of that dollar, or 35% of what you pay in property taxes, goes to the county. 31% goes to the school board. So that's already 66% of the property taxes goes to county and school board. The city's, based on our proposed budget, is 28 cents or 28%. Other fine grants and other state required taxes that are on there accounts for about 4% or 4 cents of the dollar, and our debt is 2 cents of a dollar. Some key accomplishments I want to be able to kind of list. This is in no way everything that we've been doing over the past year, but I think some very noteworthy. Building department, we've already made good headway on the digital transformation, getting our e-permitting and e-plan review system up and running internally. We have some permits that we're able to do electronically, and we should be, hopefully by the end of this fiscal year, having several more applications up and running digitally. File modernization, we're transitioning into a paperless system for the department. Community development, we were able to achieve a lower ranking in the CRS, which is a state system that looks at flood vulnerability within the city. A lower ranking is good, kind of like golf. The lower the score, the better. And so we moved from a Class 8 to a Class 7, which increases the amount of discount home insurance gives within the state in Florida for that rank. And we continue to try to move into lower ranks year over year. They have passed an urban tree canopy plan for flood mitigation and walkability throughout the city. And code enforcement has also begun night sweeps to enhance safety and various code violations throughout the city. Parks and Recreation, of course, in Mishcon Field, we all enjoyed the new artificial turf on the ribbon cutting, and our youth are using the field, and everybody's having a great time being able to use that. After school program, we have on a weekly basis about 280 children that are part of our after school program throughout the city. And so that continues to be a viable program for the city and the community. Library, again, continues the community and literacy programs for all ages, from small children all the way to our vintage citizens, digital service innovations that the library has been doing to modernize its services and the programs that it has, as well as looking for citizen classes and partnering with other organizations to be able to provide different programming. Finance, we finally were able to provide real-time finance transparency on our website. So you can go on our website and take a look at all of our processing, our accounts, where all the expenditures all are. You no longer need to ask for reports or call the clerk, although that's still always a viable option, but the program allows you to see where all the expenses are in per category. We again won the Distinguished Awards, as I announced earlier this year, for our budget book. We've adopted several new financial policies, as well as overcoming several audits that we've had more than usual. We've had about 5 this year, and we've been able to get through them all. HR, we've been implementing the Evergreen Pay Study, which improved plans for our, not only for our bargaining units, but also our non-bargaining units. We had a 98-0 vote for the CBA on the collective bargaining agreement for the general employees, as well as begun leadership development from directors starting all the way down to frontline, something that the city hasn't been doing in some times, looking for that succession planning. NMB Water, we've done several septic to sewer conversions throughout the city, particularly Corona del Mar, where we're improved public health and safety. We won the best tasting regional water, and just recently with the Charity Golf Classic, the water department was able to raise $30,000 for the We Care to Share program. Economic development, home rehab, business grants, and NMB scholarships. We've expanded various public services and have maximized the opportunity that we had in processing those. Police, we've hired 8 new police officers with ongoing recruitment efforts. We've graduated 4 cadets from the academy, with 3 currently attending, and those numbers continue to increase as people graduate, come on board, and move forward. Received and outfitted over 33 new vehicles. In the year, police has responded to over 86,000 calls for service. We've apprehended various individuals that we believe were responsible for various burglaries in the business sector. We achieved coverage of 5 out of 6 zones within our community partnership detectives. We have over 300 children enrolled in our Police Athletic Lead and Police Explorers program, and all of our community patrol and crime prevention officers obtained their crime prevention certifications. And those are just some. This year, give me 1 second. This year, some of the additional pressures in the budget, apart from just regular inflations or anything like that, we have the overall cost of living and merit increases. We have an estimated interfund transfer as well. We have a additional police pension contribution of $1 million to smooth over the shortfall over 3 years. We have the lawsuit settlement that the commission approved recently. General liability insurance premiums have increased by approximately $500,000, and we have the Washington Park project, which is also inclusive of the water and sewer portion of it as well. From the revenue side, we did see an increase in the taxable value of properties throughout the city from $4.7 billion to $5.3, which is approximately 12%. The unassigned fund balance, we believe that there's the increase to approximately 27 due to fiscal year 23 carryover. Of that, approximately $4 million is needed for budget amendments throughout fiscal year 24, particularly due to overtime with the international incidents that we've experienced this year, as well as other legal items that we've discussed. The increase in ad valorem revenue totals from one year to the next is about $3.1 million. With regards to grants and aids, we're receiving over $4 million from Congresswoman Federica Wilson's advocacy of North Miami Beach for Washington Park and traffic calming. Miami-Dade County, we have approximately $1.25 million for Washington Park. Florida Department of Environmental Protection, $200,000, as well as the FDOT Transit Service Grant for on-demand services. So this slide basically shows we have a balanced budget, right? This shows all the expenses and where the revenue comes from for all that. That goes from the general fund, liability, workman's comp, governmental impact, the CITT money, transit service tax, local option, the guardhouses, our debt service, capital projects, stormwater, all of those type of revenue that the city has. So the total budget, including all inclusive of all revenue and expenses, is $212,369,646. So we do have a balanced budget as proposed. On the general fund, essentially what you're looking at, this is the how much each the department has, which is part of your budget book, and we can get into. Events, which is something that was brought in based on the conversation that the commission's had on several instances, although we haven't gotten, it is on your agenda for further consideration, is talking about putting a moratorium on events. In that we've kept certain events within Parks and Recreation. The overall conversation is having a moratorium on everything except like Monster Bash and Snowfest. In association with Snowfest is a tree lighting and menorah lighting. The Veterans Day ceremony and Memorial Day ceremony combined is maybe $3,000. So I've kept that in there. Summer camp, of course, we're keeping that in there. But we do have a line item within that Parks and Recreation events for police presence with the overtime that police is needed at all the events. Police and PAL events so in Parks and Recreation, only those events, it's $275,500. For police and PAL events is $27,000. That goes for the domestic violence awareness, 5K run, golden ticket toy drive, teen summit on gun violence, national night out, the PAL dance, Thanksgiving giveaway, holiday party, shop with a cop, PAL 8th annual golf tournament, which actually raises money for PAL. Coffee with a cop meetings, these are more just general like town hall meetings, opportunities for people to speak with our officers. PACT meetings, which are throughout the city, as well as Club Law and Order, which is having several members of the community coming to our police department to discuss various trends or issues throughout the community. Library has certain events, I like to call them more programming than events, but these are used as part of, to meet not only our requirements with grants, but also how we count various numbers as well, and it's part of our overall learning programming. So that accounts for $71,000, and we have very specific topics throughout the year that we end up doing. Mayor Commission, this is the category that basically had every other type of event that we had going on. The advisory groups would be part of that as well. Again, based on the request of putting a moratorium, except for a couple of those which are in Parks and Recreation. Farm Share and the Thanksgiving Food Drive are left in there. Those are funded through ARPA since it's the actual food part of the distribution on that. There is capacity for the commission to put back into the budget, should you wish. I was just following the overall discussion that the commission was having, so I was presenting that to you. The capital improvement projects, the total citywide project for all funds comes out to $73 million. Here, we start going through a list of all the projects, and this was presented at the last budget workshop, and it's also in your presentation and in your budget book as well. We have from the building department, the CRA, IT, library, parks, police department. We have sewer, water, as a list as well. In total, it comes out to, and Public Works, I'm sorry, which Public Works, you'll see has various different funds. It's from CITT, local gas tax, the general fund, which helps support several of it, as well as various ARPA projects. So total citywide project values is $73,206,333,000. Just wanted to highlight Washington Park. Washington Park total project cost is about $25 million, 25.4. This is inclusive of the the water and sewer portion of the project as well. The building construction is about 21.8 million. The pump station and force main is about 3.5 million. We're anticipating a groundbreaking in October of 2024 for the pump station and the force main, which is the first part of the Washington Park project. So please stay tuned for that. I believe it's about to be advertised. It is advertised. And again, highlighting the various funding sources that we've received outside of the general fund or the loan that will be coming before you. ARPA projects. So you all have this list as well. This is all the phase 2. Again, these are recommendations. There is capacity within here to reallocate funds based on staff recommendation, which again is in front of you for September as well. And we did briefly talk about it in the budget workshop in the last one in August, the second budget workshop in August. With staff reallocation, we anticipate that there would be $973,000 available for reallocation. Of that, there were 2 items that the commission kind of said that they would consider. One is the purchase of the rescue vehicle for police, which is about $380,000 to $400,000, and also the state mandated comp plan amendment that would be required for us to fulfill as well. So with the subtraction of those 2 line items, we would have $262,335 from phase 2 alone that be able to be reallocated into other areas should the commission want. The other aspect of ARPA is in phase 1. There are some allocation opportunities, and again, in front of the commission next Tuesday as part of the ARPA is the discussion for the reallocation of funds. Part of that is the Singer building. The CRA has brought a recommendation to purchase the building at about $1.5 million. I think the actual value of the property is maybe closer to 2 to 3 million, but it's up to the commission as to if they want to sell it to the CRA. That would allocate more funds within ARPA that can be used, an additional whatever that sales price to the CRA would be. So an additional $1.5 million within ARPA would be freed up for reallocation to other projects. And then finally, this is our projected unassigned fund balance. We have estimated for fiscal year 23-24 was 19 million. We're seeing a carryover of about 8 million from fiscal year 23. 14 million is to hit the minimum 20% requirement. We believe that we'll have about $4 million in budget amendments throughout the area. Again, police overtime, legal costs, so and so. We're looking at about $7.6 million that we're reallocating from the unassigned fund balance that is over the minimum threshold of the 20% into CIP. Now, the majority of that capacity above the 20%, I just want to put it in, is being used for CIP projects, which is aligning with our commitment for sustainable infrastructure development. Once the CIP passes, those funds are dedicated, whether there's a PO for that project or not, to that project, and cannot be moved from the CIP without commission vote first occurring. That's going to ensure that these projects that we're voting on actually get done, and that they have the proper funding for. It is recommended that we try to maintain levels above the minimum in case there are various overruns or anything that happen throughout the year that we would have to do so that we don't cross the 20%. So there is a little bit of money above the 20, but really there's not that much into there as well. We've taken a look. We have a balanced budget. We have taken all the suggestions from the commission over the last various workshops, and we've been able to address it within the capacities of ARPA as well as the CIP program. And I think that is a budget that we can be proud of. It's been a very long process, but I'm very proud of the team, and I want to thank them so much for really sticking through it. We really took this as an opportunity to grow and to really position the city in an opportunity to not only make the adjustments that we need to make, realizing, but also looking for ways to move what is important for the commission and the community, move it forward. Are we doing everything we absolutely want? No, but we are living within our means. And to clarify, earlier in the year, the staff recommended 6.7 cap, not a 6.7 millage, just so that you all had that opportunity to have the conversation. You had that opportunity to have the conversation, and you all decided to keep it flat, and that is what we're presenting for you. An operating budget that is flat 6.1, a debt reduction which is lower than what it was, so your overall millage for the city is a reduction from 1 year over the next from 6.5 to 6.3 overall, and that's inclusive of operating and debt millage. Mayor, I did that as quickly as possible.
You did a great job. We really appreciate it, every single one of us. Okay, before we move on to commissioner comment, we need to do public comment, Madam Clerk.
Good evening. The Mayor and Commissioner of the City of North Miami Beach has opened the meeting for public comment at this time. There is a 3-minute time limit for each speaker. Speaker, when you call to the podium, please state your name. The Mayor and Commissioner of the City of North Miami Beach recognizes the importance of civility. The City of North Miami Beach requests that all in attendance to exercise civility at all times. If you wish to speak on this item, please come forward. Mr. Kazan.
Good evening, everyone, again. My name is Mubarak Kazan. Tonight we will be having a debate between the presidential candidates of the United States of America, and the polls showed that 30% of the people would decide their mind then whom they're going to vote for. 30%. If you look in the audience, I'm only seeing 2 candidates here, and we've had almost like a dozen candidates signed up. So I would like to hear what the candidates have to say as well so that I can make my judgment. I would be remiss if I continue without saying why the delays. And the delays I'm speaking about is a $6.5 million delinquent billing in the water plant we've had for more than 3 years now. And that was brought to the attention of your city manager. Nothing was done then. That is $6.5 million, at least $3 million we could have gotten extra for the budget if we had moved on that. The multi-story parking, which is very important. We talked about the high rises are going to be a benefit for our city, bringing in more revenues. But if you build buildings with inadequate parkings, et cetera, you're not going to be filling those buildings. They're going to be mostly empty or half empty. The Singer building, we fought many years to get that building, many years. And finally, the manager before, he negotiated with the owner, and we finally got that building. Be it if we use CRA funds or we use the ARPA funds, that building needs to be kept, because when we look back 5 years from now, when we can see that the ARPA funding has been squandered, at least we can look back and say, you know what? At least we got that building. And you should be taking some monies from the ARPA funding as well to purchase a piece of land over at Eastern Shores for the people to have a relaxation park over there. Not a basketball or a football that's screaming and bawling and shouting, but a nice recreational park for Eastern Shores. Not because it's coming from me, you're going to dung it, but it's for the people over at Eastern Shores. Last year, we heard about a deficit of $10 million. I've not heard how we addressed that at this public hearing, how we addressed the $10 million deficit. And thank you very much. And now we open the floor to our candidates. Let me hear how I can decide my mind on how I vote, and the other people too. 30%.
All right, thank you. Any other speakers? No. Okay. All right. Let the record reflect no one else came forward. Public comment is closed. And it's time to, who wants to speak for anything first from the commissioners? Okay, I'll start with Commissioner Joseph.
So just to clarify, this is the first hearing We have another hearing. It's going to happen after the high holidays, right? Right?
No, 2 weeks.
Okay.
25th.
Before
Before Rosh Hashanah.
Oh, Rosh Hashanah. Sorry, I just no. Yeah, so we're gonna have between now and then we're gonna have another hearing, and I guess there can be discussions in relations to the budget in either with the manager directly or amongst ourselves currently. But I just know this is the first step. This is not the last step. I'm just glad that we got past the millage aspect of it all, and I'm looking to delve even further. But I've had plenty of meetings. I mean, I've gone to at least 2 of the 3 workshops, and had updates with the chief of staff as well as the mayor on various aspects of this budget. I saw a lot of manager, sorry, there might be a little bit of wiggle room, but if I'm not trying to blow the budget outside of what has been something that you guys have worked on for the past, I don't know, like 3-4 months, if not more. So those are just my thoughts. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. Mr. Triff.
I too have had many, many meetings with the manager and with all of us, and I may reserve, comments for next meeting. Thank you.
Okay, Commissioner Smuckler.
All right, so I'm going to make my comments now. So I'm pretty sure when we were discussing getting rid of many of the events, I'm pretty sure we said that we would keep the back to school because we were supplying school supplies for the children for back to school. We absolutely did.
I think, Commissioner, we could definitely look, if that's the will of the commission, to bring in back to school or the Heart Health Walk or Bike 305. I think a lot of it as well has also been, you all have done an amazing job for the city in finding sponsorships that also buys and provides backpacks, even through the League of Cities and so forth. So that has been a big help as well. I know it's not set in stone. I did that looking at, based on the conversation and knowing that you all have that on the agenda as well for discussion and approval through a formal vote. But if there is any particular type of event, depending on how much you would want, whether it's an event or anything else in the budget, there's a couple different options that can be done. You can direct staff to, hey, let's allocate XYZ towards it. In that case, we would look at where that money can come from elsewhere within the budget, and we would present that of, hey, we're reducing this line item to fund XYZ, or if it's coming from ARPA or whatever the case may be. You all can make that recommendation. If you had something where I don't want to fund this line item to that level, I'd rather use that for something else. So those are options as well that are before you. So,
All right, because we did give school supplies to 450 NMB only residents. So, and I was able to get some additional funding for that out of sponsorship, but still, I think this, we need to look out for the children. And in fact, I had from Parks and Rec, Jason called me one day saying, because there's a few school supplies left over that we're going to be giving out in a few months when the kids start running out of school supplies. And Jason called me and said there's a student that's dropping out of school because he doesn't have school supplies. Is it okay if I go to your office and take one of the packages of school supplies? I said, no, not 1, 2. But the point is that here's a kid that was not going to go back to school because he didn't have school supplies. So we think of children, they need food and they need clothes. Yes, they do, but they also need school supplies. So that's something that's important to me that I'd like to see on there. And then the other thing is I'm not going to push it for all of you to reconsider what Ms. Washeen brought up, Ketley. The Heart Health Walk has been a staple event of ours for about, 12 years now, more or less. But that's something I want you all to think about and maybe bring back next week, whether it's a yes or no. And then there's two items that I want to have just maybe to be able to move around a little bit. There's, I know that years and years and years ago that the commission used to be big-time participants in the Special Olympics. And I know that in the budget, there's $10,000 for them this year. And I'm just wondering if maybe, again, something we can all reconsider is maybe not giving 10,000, maybe giving a little bit less and giving that other money somewhere else to some other organization, just so that we can spread it out a little bit more, spread the wealth, let's say, to some other organizations that need us the help as well. And then the last thing I want to bring up, and I'm not picking on you, Mr. Mayor, but the chamber, we are giving them $30,000 a year, plus we're giving them the space that they have here next to City Hall by the police, at the police department or by the police department, and plus we pay for the lunches. So I was wondering, do you need that space? I mean, is it something that Leslie can work remotely, that we can give the space back to the city?
The space is currently being used by the pension board department.
Oh, is it?
And yeah, and we don't use the space at all. We do have a sign on the door because we feel it's a good presence for the city.
Okay.
So, but as far as utilizing the space, we don't utilize the
Okay.
space.
All right. I didn't know that.
Ronaldo and that team is in there.
Okay, and I just want to see if anybody wants to, I know that the chamber needs the money, but also $30,000 to be giving to one organization a year is a lot of money. So that's something else I'd like everyone to think about as well. And that's all I have to say. Thank you.
Okay. Commissioner Smith?
Okay, I'll talk real fast, and I want to bring up a few points as well. Number one, Mr. Manager, thank you for this presentation. I think it's the best one you've done all year. I'm going to utilize this line by line before our next meeting. It's excellent. Number two, I think that the budget is a fluid piece of work. We've talked many times about the garbage coming back in-house. And if that would happen, there might be huge adjustments to the budget. And that would happen hopefully in this coming year. So I know it's something that we have to consider when we're voting, that we're voting on something that is not written in stone. Number three, I concur. But the only thing about back to school is I like to coordinate it with everybody else that's giving backpacks. PAL gives backpacks, the library gives backpacks. We have to coordinate it so we don't duplicate. I concur completely with the chamber, nothing against the mayor who wears two hats, sometimes three when we have a CRA meeting. But when I was on board, we gave 10, we increased it to 20, now it's 30, and there seems to be a lot of social activities that are contributed from the city to supplement, and I think when we don't have money for the residents, we don't have money for the city, we should consider cutting that back as far as the funds go, especially being as they are supplemented in other ways, the building, for instance, the cleaning of the building, et cetera. My last point, just so that everybody says that I worked very quickly, was the library. So $1 million for the library is so inefficient. I get so many calls that the library needs to be open on the weekend. And to me, when those that didn't have an opportunity to go hear the world-renowned bishop on Sunday, which we had the blessing to go, I have to tell you, I have not stopped talking about the sermon. We gave him a key to the city, and I understand why. But the key element was education. And 1 hour, the man stood up there and explained that the education turns into wisdom and how you use the education. If we don't open those doors of our library for every resident to get an opportunity for education, an opportunity for the rest of their life to take that education and apply it to wisdom and a better life for them and their families and their communities, shame on all of us. So that's it. Let's talk about it again. But $1 million is inefficient because we need more staff. We need, this whole thing about renovating these properties, and I just am speaking to the public that came up before us. The thing about renovating is there's going to be some big changes. There has to be. Municipalities can't carry it themselves. We're an older city. We need to collaborate. We need to have partnerships. And when the partnerships come, the library will change. It will become a community center. The tennis court will change. It will become a destination for families and a community. But it can't be done on your dime, your tax dime. It's not enough money. We need to have partnerships. So let's stop thinking about changing a paint color, about renovating a floor, and let's think the bigger picture to put out the opportunities for people to give us back their, when I say people, businesses, entities that want to have a partnership with us for their community to have a bigger chance and for our community to thrive. That's the goal. So we have things to think about for the next meeting, and I agree about cutting down in the chamber. I agree about coordinating the backpacks, but I certainly want to make sure that that library becomes a priority for the weekends for our community. Thank you very much.
And I'd like to ditto the library.
Okay. Mr. John?
Thank you so much. I agree with everything that was said. I have a question about how did you decipher which events were cut, which initiatives were cut? I was surprised to hear about the Heart Health Walk being one of the things that was actually eliminated. I think also we do need to focus on services, as many services as we can allow our residents to have, an enhancement of services. So when your team goes back with all the feedback that was given, seeing how we can enhance more service-based to our community would be my ask. I also wanted to reiterate the comment that was made about the outstanding bills. Can you speak to some of the initiatives that you have done or what's happening in the next fiscal year to help recover some of those funds?
Sure, Commissioner. So with regards to the event, again, it was just taking off of various comments throughout the various months with regards to establishing a moratorium on all events except at the time, I think the only thing that was really mentioned was Monster Bash and Snowfest. And so taking a look at what Parks and Recreation actually puts together and all the events that we were doing, we took a look and we said, okay, Monster Bash, Snowfest, what's related to the holiday season with the tree lighting, the menorah lighting. Again, Veterans Day and Memorial Day, both of those events combined is, I think, about $3,000 or less. It's not much at all. The summer camp, nobody here wants to do anything that would eliminate or jeopardize the summer camp, so we kept that, and we kept the police presence for those various events that we had there. When you look at the police and the POW events that they put on, it's $27,000 for everything that they end up putting on. They get a lot of donations through POW as well. And the library, again, is $71,000, and that goes into the actual programming that they do. So everything else we essentially took out. It is an agenda item. Yes, it was an assumption, but it was for you all because it's coming up with the calendar of all the events that were separated between what the city departments put on, what the police and library puts on, and what the advisory boards or commissioners put on. That's how we separated that. With regards to the potential collections, we've been going through and looking, and it's part of that lean program that we've been taking a look at. A lot of the data that we've received and we're still trying to kind of filter out is very, very old. And so some of those, there's a statute of limitation on how long a lien or those codes can live. And so we have to kind of filter out everything that's beyond that statute of limitation. What we've done is we've spoken to, I've sat on calls with 2 companies that do collections nationwide. We've been reaching out to attorneys as well. Recently, a resident has provided several local lawyers who do it. Our procurement department is reaching out to the lawyers to get somewhat of a seeing what their capacity would be for that. Once we have a viable option, then we'll be bringing it to the commission. But we are working to do that so that we can do that. Usually, state statute is, I think, 20 years, but we do have many that are older than the 20 years. So we have to kind of allocate that. And I'm sorry, what was the third?
I think those were the 2, but here's my question as well. Last year, we approved a budget. A large portion of the projects that we wanted to see, I think there was a percentage that you gave that most of those things were not done. So with the instance of what you just explained, we've been asking for this for some time, and we haven't seen a timeline of your execution of that particular initiative. So my ask is also moving forward, once the budget is actually passed, that we're actually seeing incremental, progress of what you're doing. I also wanted to ask about the senior luncheon. Was that also taken out?
I don't believe so.
The senior luncheon's usually donated. Maybe Mr. Plott can come up.
Commissioners, there we go. Good evening, Mayor, Commissioners, Manager, everyone. So the senior programming budget, which has money for senior luncheons, nothing was touched for the senior budget. But like Commissioner said, most of it is sponsored by either Mount Sinai or another medical profession. But the budget for seniors was not touched.
Okay, so there is still a budget?
Yep.
Okay, thank you.
Yes, to your point, we kept the budget just in case there wasn't a sponsorship, which we take care of during the summer. We don't have any sponsorships, but we wanted to make sure that if something fell through, that we were able to handle that.
Okay, all right, that's all I had. Thank you so much.
Okay.
Thank you.
You want to say something before?
Yeah, because, staff has been.
He doesn't like that cut. He doesn't like that cut.
No, so thank you, Mayor and Commission. So I've noted we'll definitely be reaching out to everyone. To Commissioner Jean's point, and we heard you loud and clear at the last budget workshop. So we are developing a dashboard with all of the projects, both ARPA and CIP related. And so you're getting an initial draft of what a report, the data that would be coming out of that as part of the manager's report in your September agenda. But until, that's just us currently building it. Once we pass the CIP and are the ARPA reallocations, that all starts getting fed into that system, and then that report will be part of the monthly manager's report on the agenda. So we'll always have, and it has not only from a budget where the project stands on the budgets, but also timelines, because sometimes you might use 50% of the budget, but you're 60% of the way through. It's just how the invoices come. But we've heard you loud and clear, ma'am.
Okay, so I'll make my round one comments, and I know you want second round. Oh, Commissioner Foreman, did you want to say anything or not yet? Be brief.
About the budget. Yeah, we have a timeline.
Yes, okay. Well, I just wanted to ask about transportation, within the city. I just want to make sure that we are not pulling from any of our routes as it relates to our trolley. And also, I want to make sure that when it comes to freebie as well, that we are maintaining that. So can you let us know what your thoughts are, where we're located?
Our contract for the trolleys continues through April. of 2025. And then as of right now, the intent is to re-procure depending on the direction that the commission wants. So the full funding for the year is available through CITT. We also received a grant from the state to double our fleet size for freebie or on-demand transit service. So we're budgeted to be able to double our fleet size in next fiscal year as well. We've already reached out to the state and we're in queue for the contract. We have to wait until the state signs off on the contract before we can do that. We can't just start immediately because then they won't fund. So if they don't sign the contract until December, if we moved in October,
Pay the difference.
they won't reimburse us for October or November. They'll only start from the moment that they sign. So that's kind of the holdup there. But we are in queue. We keep asking to kind of move up as quickly as possible. But we're fully funded to double our transit service size on freebie.
Okay, I'm definitely happy to hear that. When it comes to transportation, I think, we just have to take a holistic look at it. But I don't want to see it piecemealed, whether it's adding or removing anything from our routes. I definitely prefer a holistic approach. And so for now, we're good with that. And I'm happy to hear about what's happening with freebie as well. So that's it for my comments at this time. Thank you.
Thank you. Okay, so first of all, I wanted to just say to the manager, great job putting everything together. I wanted to commend you. Made it very easy to deal with everything, and I know it was not easy to make it all happen. So, I just wanted to give you a couple kudos on that. The chamber was brought up. I was going to speak about it before, so I'll make that disclosure right now, and I want the attorney to pay attention in particular to this. But just so everybody knows, I am the president of the North Miami Beach Chamber of Commerce. And I do not get paid as the president of the chamber. And the only monies that come my way or indirectly my way is that in my own businesses, my CFO and bookkeeper do spend some time working on the chamber books, and there's a reimbursement that's paid from the chamber to one of my companies to reimburse for the payroll expense that's being used by my internal employees. That keeps it less expensive than if we were to have to hire other accounting staff. So I just wanted to, first of all, be clear for disclosure purposes, for voting on budgets, et cetera, et cetera. And by the way, the funds that we use for that reimbursement are not city funds. So, Mr. Attorney, I just want to make sure if there's anything I need to do, I want to keep it out in the open.
Well, you've made the disclosure, Mayor. My understanding from what you've said is you don't receive a salary or other compensation for the work you put in, and there is a small reimbursement for some expenses, but that is not done with the funds that the city gives to the chambers. In view of those facts, I would find that it's not a conflict of interest for you to vote on funds to go, as they have traditionally gone, to the North Miami Beach Chamber.
So excuse me, so what funds is it done with?
I'm sorry?
What funds does the reimbursement come from?
My understanding from having spoken to the mayor is that other funds are raised by the chamber in addition to the money.
We get dues.
So do you have separate accounts, like one bank account for the funds that you raise and one, at the end of the night, if it's all going to one pot, it's still coming out of that one pot. It's not coming out of.
Well, but my understanding is that for accounting purposes, that the chamber keeps separate records of what other funds it receives, and the reimbursements are, I believe, from what I understand, are credited and paid for with funds that are not the funds that are coming from the city.
Right.
Yeah, but if
The reimbursement.
one bank account?
It's all in one bank account.
So then at the end of the night, it's.
The reimbursements are easily paid for by the dues and other income that the chamber brings in other than the city funds. So however you chop it up, that's fine. But again, if there's any question about anything, then, let me know. I certainly want it to be completely out in the open, so.
Well, in view of the question, I do think it would be, as I believe you're doing, but in case you're not, you should, even though it goes into one account, you should keep books that demonstrate that there are different funds and which source of funds is used for the reimbursement, and that should be kept on the books. Like the city keeps different funds. We don't necessarily have a different bank account for each fund, but there is a separate record for each fund, and certainly that should be done to show that it's not any city monies that are used even for that very small reimbursement.
Okay. I will definitely, speak to our accounting team to make sure that they make those changes. But in the respect, let's just say worst case scenario, that there was not any specific showing of the different funds, would there be anything that we would need to do in the overabundance of caution to make sure that there's no appearances of any kind of issues?
The issue would be if city funds were being used to fund a reimbursement that went to your company. That would be something that would possibly be viewed as a conflict and an abundance of caution. At that point, I would say you should recuse yourself from voting on that issue. It's not that easy to do as a recusal when you have an overall budget. It's not like there's a single item coming in front of you. So considering the...
How long has it, well, my question is...
Yeah.
Microphone.
Sorry. I just have one question, and I don't know if we need to get an official opinion to put certain things to bed. I don't know if you do, but I just want to know, has this always been the case? Like this?
Yeah, and nothing, this has been, that we've been operating this way for years.
Okay.
So nothing has changed since I was
The thing
elected.
that's changed, though, is now you're the mayor.
Right.
Well,
Correct.
but also even if he didn't have this position, right? The president of, even if he wasn't the mayor and he was the president of the chamber, his company was receiving indirectly for accounting purposes, right? Funding,
right,
in that capacity,
right?
And
if he's not the mayor, it's not an issue.
I agree. I just, like I said, I don't know if there's something that needs to be officially done, or if you can do it, or what have you, Joe. City attorney. But just,
I would say this. I understand the question.
Okay.
The question is there a conflict of interest? The standard for that is there a benefit to an individual on the dais from funds that are city funds that are being funded to an organization? It's kind of a yes or no question.
Correct.
There either is a benefit to the individual from the city funds, or there isn't.
Correct.
In this case, it appears to me that provided that the accounting records of the organization demonstrate that that small reimbursement, it's not the amount of the reimbursement that's at issue here, it either is or isn't. Again, it's yes or no. And if the accounting records that are maintained demonstrate that that small reimbursement is being funded by sources that are other than the funds that are coming from the city, then I believe it's not a conflict of interest because the city funds are not going to the benefit of an individual on the dais.
Okay, so here's the, what the situation I don't want to get into is where, of course, for the most part, I've been in office for 2024. So I don't want to get into a situation where I go and ask our accounting team to go ahead and create that bifurcation as you were talking about, and then come to find out for some reason that was not doable. And so in that particular case, and out of the abundance of caution, I just would want to make sure that there is no way, no how. Listen, I pour my heart and soul into that Chamber of Commerce. The amount of hours that I spend every week at that Chamber of Commerce is something that is a labor of love, because if I was to get paid for that, it would be way, way, way more than what the numbers in question are here. However, I don't want to have the last thing I want to do is put myself into a no good deed goes unpunished scenario. Okay, so based on that, whatever we need to do out of an abundance of caution, I'm willing to do, because I don't want to hear about this again. So,
Mayor, I can't tell you that no one will question it. I can give my opinion. That's all we have as attorneys, is our opinion. I'm not a judge. I'm not an ethics commission. I'm just an attorney, and I have an opinion that's based on close to 45 years of practicing law. My opinion is that if you are not benefiting directly or indirectly through a corporation from funds of the city that are being paid by the city for marketing to the North Miami Beach Chamber of Commerce, as they have been for many years, as Commissioner Joseph points out. But what's changed is now the person who's the president is also the mayor. That's the thing that's new. It does not appear to me to constitute a conflict of interest or even an appearance of a conflict, because if the accounting records demonstrate that the funds given by the city are not in any way benefiting your corporation, which would be otherwise an indirect benefit to you, I don't see it as a conflict or an appearance of conflict. You are privileged. If you view it as an appearance of a conflict, you could abstain, which is normally not permitted, but it is something that is permitted where there is an appearance of conflict in the eye of the elected official. And if you saw that, I could not contradict you if you felt that it was that. But normally, if something were to come up that was a resolution to, just make a donation or accept something, you could simply refrain from that resolution. But this is embedded in your budget, and if you felt it was an appearance of a conflict, notwithstanding your disclosure and statement that the small reimbursement does not come from city funds, the only thing you could do would be to therefore abstain from voting on the entire city budget. You're privileged to do that, but in my view, which is a good faith view, I don't believe that you have a conflict, and it's not such an appearance of conflict as I think that's necessary, but I couldn't stop you from abstaining and recusing yourself on the entire city budget, but under the circumstances, I don't see that as necessary.
right, okay. Yeah, the only issue of any concern is there's one bank account. So all the funds go into one bank account. So who is to say which dollar went to which? Anybody can question anything as far as that's concerned. So
Under the what's that line? He gave it an opinion. He gave an opinion. So I understand what you're saying, Mr. Mayor. So he gave you options, and I want you to understand you have options.
right.
And as a good as a trained attorney, and also someone that wants to give good advice, and you have to understand what your options are, and not opening yourself to anything further, depending on how you're explaining yourself.
Right.
Because you've already explained.
Okay.
How much
Yeah.
money is involved?
No, it doesn't matter. Doesn't matter.
Well,
That
but
has
it's a
nothing to do
legitimate
with it.
question.
It's a legitimate question, but is that
It's not.
No, it's not.
It's not dispositive, but what is, Mayor, the question, you can.
I'll disclose, the reimbursement amount is usually in the $300 to $500 a month range. A lot less than we pay a bookkeeper and an accountant. So, I mean, I don't really see the issue. And actually, the amount is undervalued.
Mr. Mayor.
Yes.
When it comes up again in the next budget, you can also put your
However you,
say what your feelings are and vote on the budget, but let it be known that, about your position,
and if you want to abstain from this
but not completely.
because of this particular issue up until the next meeting, you can. You have that option, as he pointed out.
Right.
Because there's enough of us to have a quorum, and and we have a vice mayor right there that can take the lead and move us forward.
Right.
Okay?
Well, that'd probably be the safest thing to do for tonight.
Be the
just to
safest.
sure.
Yes, Mr.
Okay.
Mayor, if you decide to do that in the interim between now and final budget hearing, I will try to inquire of the Commission on Ethics. However, they're currently without an executive director.
They haven't got him?
I haven't heard that they've hired.
I thought
one. I
they
think
did.
they're-
They did. The former.
Did they hire? him?
Yeah,
Who'd they hire?
From the
Mike, please, I need to get
from the U.S. Attorney's Office,
from the U.S. Attorney's Office. Royal went and they.
and they hired the guy.
I was flat on my back.
No.
That's a lot of news.
No,
All right.
it's been a while.
It's been a while.
Yeah. Who
They
did they
issued it, yeah.
All right, so you'll have an opportunity to do that between now and the next hearing. That'd be
I
great.
don't think so, but
did they
I'd
you
appreciate
can
that.
recuse yourself on this. If you're going to do that,
Right.
then at this point, having declared that, and you're entitled to, if you view it as an appearance, but for the remainder
Speaker
of
to
the
the mic,
discussion, you should absent yourself from the debate.
Okay, all right, so so before I do that, I wanted to just finish, because there was some confusion regarding the chamber, and I wanted to just kind of clear those things up. That, first of all, the chamber does the office that the chamber once did occupy
Vice Mayor?
is now being
If
occupied.
he's recusing himself in
Vice-
reference to this kind of element, why is he continuing with that
Yes,
conversation?
no, you've already stated. I think
With
I'm just
deference,
asking.
I
the
think
best
that-
course would be to recuse yourself.
Well, let me say
Right.
though, if the
stated-
if he was going
Well, I could have, go ahead.
Sorry, City Attorney.
if
Speak into the mic, please, Mr. Attorney.
I'm trying to,
You can
sir.
get a record.
If the mayor views it as a conflict, as an appearance of conflict, excuse me, before leaving the dais, he's entitled to explain the circumstances relating to his decision to recuse. If it was any other discussion item, I would say no, but since it goes directly to the circumstances of the recusal to justify the decision to recuse because of a possible appearance, I believe he's entitled to finish making his statement for the record before he recuses himself.
Right, okay, all right. So anyway, the first thing that I wanted to just clarify is that what was once the Chamber of Commerce office has not been used by the Chamber of Commerce for probably 4 years or so now. And several years ago, the pension department, Ronaldo and that team, have been occupying that office, and we have not used that office in any real way, maybe to receive mail or something like that. And the name is on the door, which is a benefit to the city. But for the purposes of the chamber, we're not receiving any use from that. We're not receiving cleaning services. We're not receiving electrical. We're not receiving anything from the city in respect to the use of the building. So that's the first thing. The second thing I want to clarify, Vice Mayor, is that you mentioned that it was once $10,000, and it hasn't been $10,000 for anything I can ever remember.
I voted on the 20, so
Okay.
I know.
All right, well, I
It
mean.
hasn't been that long that it hasn't been 20.
All right, even back in the days of Ray Marin, it was $20,000. But I will tell you this, it was, the amount was $24,000 up till about 3 years ago or so. At that point, I know that Commissioner Joseph made a motion and sees the value in the chamber, sees the value of of valuing the businesses that are in this community, and he's the one who made the suggestion to move it from 24,000 to 30,000 a year. Now, other cities surrounding us are getting a subsidy from the city between 50 and 100,000 a year. As a matter of fact, North Miami even pays for the employee that is the chamber executive assistant or what have you. So $30,000 is really a pittance compared to what other cities are getting. Now, what the real thing is that the Chamber of Commerce is the greatest asset that this city delivers to the businesses in the city. And I know that a lot of the things that we do as commissioners are very resident-centric, but we can never forget the fact that a large part of our tax base is the businesses. And if we don't take care of our businesses and try to help our businesses and move them forward, empower them, and help bring them to the next level, like the Chamber of Commerce specifically does, then we're not doing our job as commissioners by just ignoring these businesses. So I really would.
Yeah, yes. You does that conclude your statement?
I was just getting warmed up a little bit.
Oh, but I have a question. So you don't have, the chamber doesn't keep any stuff in the office that's supposedly now the pensions office?
We don't use it for anything. Could there be a file box left in there or something?
Mm-hmm.
Maybe, but I don't think so.
Because I was under the impression that there was still stuff in there.
There may be an old computer sitting under a desk somewhere, but for all practical purposes, it's never used. So
All your files and.
no, mail gets delivered there
But
sometimes.
all your files.
All the files are at my offices.
All right.
So
Guys,
all right,
So,
all right,
no. We're gonna. The mayor's gonna recuse himself.
right. I'll recuse.
Vice
That
Mayor's
means
got-
I go home, or you need me
No,
to hang out here.
You may have other business other than the budget at the end.
Okay, so I just need to recuse myself from
The vote.
this vote.
Just this
Okay,
vote.
all right. So I don't know.
You can do that by stepping into the
Hallway.
anteroom. there.
I can go in the audience.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'll go in the audience.
As long
Okay,
as you're not on.
that's not a problem. And then just let me know when it's time to come back.
It'll be right after the vote.
Let me correct myself, Mayor.
no.
You should not be in this room.
I will leave the room. Okay, and then just make sure someone calls me when
That
it's time
doesn't
to come
mean
back.
that if you went into the anteroom where the TV is on, you're allowed to watch, you're allowed to monitor, but you should be beyond the door to this chamber.
Wait, before that happens, I question that. He is going to vote on the budget
No, he was recusing himself
from the whole budget?
Yes, because of this particular issue.
Because it's inextricable.
Yes.
If it was just a single item to the chamber, that would be very easy.
But that is not the case here.
This is inextricably in the budget. So at least for tonight, for first reading, till we can get a more formal ruling than.
City Attorney,
Yes, ma'am.
could I ask you,
Yes, ma'am.
for the budget, actual voting of the budget the next time, can we remove just the chamber issue and make that a separate vote?
You could do that, yes.
So could we do that tonight if I made a motion?
Yes, ma'am.
I make a motion that we remove the chamber issue from the budget and vote on that separately. Do I get a second?
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay, so
Your
that's what
wisdom,
we're going to do?
Mayor, impresses me always.
Aren't you so thoughtful?
I don't think you were supposed to vote on
I
that.
didn't.
Okay, so that
Yeah,
now
you're not
that
to vote.
the, now that the mayor is back, I would
You
like,
didn't vote on that motion, though,
Right.
Mayor.
Right.
So
no, that when we come to
For
that,
the record, the motion by the vice mayor, just for the record, it would be better if there was a roll call.
Okay.
Okay.
Do the roll call. So
well, before you call the roll, is there any discussion?
No.
Go ahead, Madam Clerk.
Commissioner Florimon,
Yes.
Commissioner Jean,
Yes.
Commissioner Joseph,
Yes.
Commissioner Smuggler,
Yes.
Commissioner Chernoff,
Yes.
Vice Mayor Smith.
Absolutely.
And the mayor is recused.
Don't call me.
I'm recusing, right? Yeah.
Yeah.
It passes 6-0.
Okay, now,
Okay, now we can continue, right?
Well, now we're back to
Now
the
go
budget.
The rest of the budget, the remainder
Now.
of the budget.
so you
Okay.
call the vote for the,
All right,
No, I'm going to speak again.
all right.
I want to speak again.
Okay, yep, we'll come right back to the 1 second. So anyway, I just want to make sure that there were no other Chamber of Commerce questions in any way, shape, or form, so we
No, we
are
just-
clear.
Well, I have a
Just
comment
ended
on the chamber.
Okay,
I have a
good.
comment, but I'll save it for my time.
Okay, all right, so,
Actually, Mayor, it would be out of order to consider this
Right.
now.
oh,
because
okay, I
it's
got you,
not-
because that's not even part of this right at the
correct.
moment. Okay, all right, so anybody else have second round of comments?
I do.
Go ahead.
Okay, so, Mr. Manager, I made 4 points about the back to school, about the Heart Health Walk, about the chamber, and about the Special Olympics, and then I dittoed Commissioner Smith's point about the library. Are you going to be taking a consensus on what everybody would like to do about this, or is this something,
Commissioner, I'm not allowed to take a poll on where
well,
people want.
maybe not a poll, maybe that's not the right word, but are
We
you going to
can,
be speaking?
what we can do, if you have, or if any commissioner has a budgetary amount that they have in their mind for an independent event, then that can be done. If not, what we can look at what was budgeted last year and try to find that within the budget that we would reallocate within the budget for the same that was budgeted in fiscal year '24, and propose that at the second hearing, and then you all can decide whether that's enough or if you want to allocate more, and then we would have to find where the additional would be.
Let me make a quick comment to Commissioner Smucker's point. Give us a courtesy update of what you're removing, because we had an initial meeting with you individually about just the collective, and you gave us the binder, but then we didn't know what you extracted. So,
Commissioner, as I
Right.
mentioned, essentially, the only thing within the budget that we have budgeted for events, based on the comments that were made over the past several months with a moratorium on all events, was keeping Monster Bash, Snowfest, and that's in your presentation as well. So Monster Bash, Snowfest, Veterans Day ceremony, Memorial Day ceremony, the summer school program, and the police presence at the events. The police department has various events as well that cover not only their community meetups, but also POW. It has the Domestic Violence Awareness 5K Run, Golden Ticket Toy Giveaway, Teen Summit of Gun Violence, National Night Out, POW Dance Recital, POW Thanksgiving Turkey Giveaway, POW Holiday Party, Shop with a Cop, POW 8th Annual Golf Tournament, Coffee with a Cop, PAC meetings, and Club Law and Order, for a total of $27,000 for the entire year. Library has various
sorry
programs.
to interrupt, but that was not the question. For example, the Commission for Women Heart Health Walk, how do we know that you removed that?
Ma'am, the only ones that are budgeted right now that it's proposed are the ones that we've identified.
So the ask is if you can give us a list of those that were actually on the books prior, so we can have a comparison.
Yes, ma'am. It's on the agenda for next week and has been part of the agenda for the past couple of months as well.
Okay.
You have a calendar that's been separated by department events, library programming, and events that fall under mayor, commission, and advisory boards.
And Commissioner Smith, I just want to say for the back to school, what we've done for the last few years is we are not giving backpacks because so many other organizations are giving backpacks. We've been giving school supplies. Right. So just wanted to let you know.
Okay, Commissioner Smucker, you're good?
Yes.
Okay.
Okay, so I'm going to make my 4 points under one umbrella because I'm going to be accused of keeping everybody because I always get to talk last. So let me just say a few things that are very important to get out. I wish there was $50,000 to give to the chamber. This has nothing to do with the chamber. I can tell you 100% that I am in total disagreement about the trolley. I've watched that trolley from 3rd Avenue and 163rd Street. I've watched that trolley. The trolley is imperative. But North Miami Beach owns a trolley, and for $600,000 a year, we put people on the trolley during the day. There are a few trolleys that are well worth it, and that they should be fully funded. But when I see that trolley empty, and I see it empty, and I see one person riding it, and it costs us so much money, we're better off to hand them the $25 and tell them to call a cab to go the 4 or 6 blocks in North Miami Beach. So I think that the trolley needs an adjustment. Our manager said he could do without one trolley, and he did not get a consensus, he said, to eliminate it. I said, put it on the agenda, and let's vote on eliminating one trolley, because that money could be well used when you have sat up here with me, and the people that listen to this have listened to 5 months of we have no money. We have no money. Well, if we have no money, the manager said to me quite clearly, what do you want me to do this week? When I said to him, we need to do this, he said, should we cut CIP? Could we cut what we're planning on improving our city? And my answer was, if we have no money, we have no choice. If you need to fix your bathroom and you have no money, you can't fix your bathroom. So I just say that I got a message today from a resident that said 50% of any new money, tax money from new projects should go back to the residents in a tax cut. And I said no. And he said, why? Why can't you support this? Why can't you put it on the agenda for next year for your taxes? Any new money with new development, 50% of it goes back to the residents with tax cut. I said, no, it's too much because we have no money. We have to build back up the reserves, build back up the CIP, build back up what we need to build back up. So, and that comes under the chamber. It's not the value of the chamber, the value of the businesses, it's the value of the fact that we have no money. We have to spread this money the best way we can, sitting up here, and I agree, the businesses, but don't forget the businesses have small business things from the city, the businesses have CRA, the businesses even have county. We want to give back to the business. We want to do that. But the most important thing is we want to balance a budget without going in debt, and we want the residents to have the best quality of life that they can have. So I bring this back up before we close this conversation, because remember something, we're not trying to hurt anybody up here that has an idea. I concur with each one of my fellow commissioners and the mayor when I say I hear you and you have valid points. But I've been listening for 4 months and 5 months to the manager who says the same thing, where am I getting the money? So that's something that is sitting heavy on me while we finish this conversation before we come to the next one. I don't know where we're getting the money, but I do know that our residents have a right to have their library open on the weekend. And I wish everybody a good, whoever side you're on, I wish you a good debate.
Motion to, move it. No, sorry.
Before you adjourn, I need
I didn't adjourn. I was saying I was going to move to adopt the budget. I'm moving to adopt the budget.
Yeah. Okay, all right, no other.
Do I have a second?
No other comment?
I got a second. Okay.
We got the motion, the second.
Okay.
All right.
I'd like to call.
So we need now just to be clear on what we're voting on here. We're voting on
The budget is
this
written
item
down.
without the chamber. We're going to come back and do the chamber again
Exactly.
next. Okay.
You'll get
All
an opinion.
Roll call, please.
Commissioner Jean?
Yes.
Commissioner Joseph?
Yes.
Commissioner Smuckler?
Yes.
Commissioner Chernoff?
Yes.
Commissioner Florimon?
Yes.
Vice Mayor Smith?
No.
Mayor Piper?
Yes.
It passes 6-1.
Okay.
Motion to adjourn.
Second. Wait.
No, we have to vote on the chamber.
We have to vote on the chamber, but for,
Yeah.
Huh?
Yeah, we do. We have to
Because
vote
it's
on
in
the
the
chamber.
budget. We have
Right.
to vote on the chamber.
all right. I'll recuse myself. I'm going to leave it with the vice mayor, and then I'll be back for the adjournment.
And is the proposal for the chamber 30,000, Mr.
Yeah.
Manager?
Yeah. Well, yeah.
How much is it?
It's remaining flat from year over year at 30.
Thank you. I think I can start with the clerk to ask the clerk to please, if there's anybody from the audience that wants to speak on this subject of the chamber. I see no one. Anybody up here wanted to have a discussion on the motion of the chamber?
He just
You just did that.
Linsu Reef Club. I've experienced going to the chamber several times. I think it's a very beneficial environment for all the businesses in North Miami Beach, albeit like there are, some very educational and like business building exercises and luncheons with great speakers there. I wouldn't consider it like completely cutting it out, but maybe if you wanted to reduce it or, within reason, or you'd like to pass it for another year and revise the actual expenditures, because I understand that there was some non-splitting accounts, everything is kind of intermingled. So maybe that might be an option for you. That's just my comment on the Chamber of Commerce. I'd still like to keep it because I think that Aventura has one, Sunny Isles, Aventura has two. So with that said, I think that if we don't have anything to bring our businesses together, they will not have a place to congregate and actually feed off each other and help each other out, or even pass on great advice on grants or loans or, have discussions with that sort. Remember that our economic development only met for the first time with our business owners this month or last month. That is, that's very few and far between. With the chamber, they have that access to access other business owners. So I hope you'll consider keeping it for this year and maybe revising it for next year. Thank you.
Anybody else from the public?
Mubarak Azan. I'm glad Commissioner Fortuna Smuckler brought that up, and we clarified it. The mayor clarified that they were not taking a free ride. There is another building that we were renting out $10 a year for. Is that fully utilized? Is the building fully utilized? It's behind the fire station, and it's supposed to be helping those that is ill, that do not have insurance. Are we fully utilizing that? Seeing that you were proroguing on the Chamber of Commerce, you can also look into that, because we have several buildings around the city that is not being used. We were promised the senior center, and that fell flat on its face. I heard it is going to be sold. We have the other building up the road that we bought from that lawyer that was once a commissioner over, council member over at North Miami. We bought that building. What happened with that building? What are we using it for? I mean, we're talking about business. We're talking about commerce. We have buildings just laying there, rotting away, not doing anything. And I do not know if it's a personal thing with the commissioner and the mayor for her to bring that up, but I'm glad it was brought up, because I'm bringing up also the two dormant buildings. I'm already a senior. I need to exercise and use, the senior facilities that we have here. Not sell it, buy it, pay for it, pay off more of whatever you have, because all of us seem to be seniors up here. And we need to speak out more for those that don't have a voice, the kids and the seniors. Thank you very much for the library, but I also believe that we can't spend $2 million in the library and then give it away after, like how we did the water plant and the sanitation. We gave away a lot of free equipment to that vendor. So thank you for having me.
Any more
Yes.
discussion from the public?
The next candidate will be
Okay, the public discussion is closed.
Motion to.
No, did anybody have a comment to make about this?
So we're voting to approve 30,000?
Whatever you want to say. You could make a motion to make it less. You could, whatever you want to say.
I mean, I'll make a motion to make it 20,000.
Is there a second to that? I'll second it for discussion.
Why is the motion to decrease it again? From 30 to 20? I'm sorry, why is the suggestion to decrease it, Commissioner?
Just move.
He's asking you why you're reducing the amount.
Because that's a lot of money to be giving. We're trying to cut the budget, not spend. We're trying to cut budget.
No, I was just asking your logic, that's all. I just wanted to know what your logic was behind the 20. Thank you.
I mean, I just threw 20 out there. I'm open for other numbers, more or less.
Well, here's.
Excuse me, Commissioner Chernoff asked to speak for a minute for Mr.
Okay, I'm not for the motion. I think we should leave it at the 30,000. The reason for it is that how do we know what that 30,000 represents to that chamber right now? We could be voting for the demise of the chamber by reducing it by $10,000. We don't know that. So I think it's only fair to keep it what it is and have a discussion with the chamber and find out what they really need. But I wouldn't make any motion to defeat anything right now.
Commissioner Joseph?
I concur. I don't know if Commissioner Smucker could reconsider and have, I guess, leave it up to the next meeting to have more information on actually coming to an exact amount, as opposed to, as you pointed out, you said it could be up or it could be down. You just mentioned that just now. So it's proposed that this amount, it could change depending on whatever information you get between now and 2 weeks from now.
Well, it would be nice to see what monies how they spend it and what they need.
I would like to get an audit. I have no problem with that, just to get clarification.
Okay.
All right.
So did I make a motion?
No, you just
okay, so then I don't have to.
and then you can make a motion to.
No, are you removing your motion? I'll remove my second.
I'm removing my motion, but I'm making a motion that we need to get some type of an audit to be able to vote on this in the first place.
Second.
Yeah.
Mr. Attorney, we have a motion on the table that they want more information about how the chamber spends the money and what the money would mean to the chamber in reference to them continuing with their programs. Does that come under now? Does the manager get that information for us? Okay. Because the chamber head is also the mayor.
You don't need a motion to ask for more information. You simply ask for more information. The motion is to set an amount to assist the body in voting on that at final hearing, not tonight, because you're obviously not going to have the info tonight, but to assist the body in voting on that at final hearing, you can simply request that more information be furnished. The manager can certainly get that since it's part of the budget, although it's severed from it, but it is still an expenditure of city funds, and the manager certainly can hear and request of the chamber. And I suspect that the chamber's president is also hearing the request, and that information can be furnished. And when it comes before you at final budget hearing, you then get to determine whether or not you've gotten enough information and you're satisfied with it. So you don't need a motion to request. You've just requested the information. And if the justification is given and you find it sufficient, then you can vote for whatever amount you then deem appropriate at your next hearing.
So you withdraw your motion that's not necessary, and you withdraw your second?
No. What I'm asking is for her to amend her motion as what you just presented, right? We're agreeing to the amount, but we're requesting additional information in the form of an audit in regards to the chamber's
just
justify the budget.
Just to clarify,
voting or more or less, or whatever you want to do.
Mr. Attorney, just to clarify, and Commissioner, I don't think we can force the chamber to provide an audit.
Oh, no, just
but a rationale for the amount being requested and how they use their funds, I think is inappropriate. But the word audit is very specific to meeting certain financial criterias. And I don't know that we can
the
force
best form of information to justify. And
I know the intent.
Because you couldn't.
I know the intent. I just want to clarify because of the word audit is very
You
specific.
couldn't get an audit in 2 weeks anyway.
Right.
I'm not asking for the accounting practices.
Yeah.
I'm just trying to satisfy my colleagues' standpoint and for us to get the show on the road.
I understand.
All right, well, I'm going to recognize Commissioner Florimon. Go ahead.
Thank you. This item doesn't need 2 votes, right? Being that we're voting on it separately from the budget, is it requiring 2 votes or only 1 vote?
2.
To be consistent, I would take the 2 votes, but candidly, you could not vote on the.
The gentleman is saying.
Excuse me, sir?
Not hearing anything you're saying, sir.
You're not speaking.
Sorry about that, sir, but I think I'm being loud. I'm not quiet
You
or
have to
shy.
speak into the mic. I'm not arguing anymore. Continue.
Is this better, sir? Is your sound level okay?
Much better.
Thank you. You wouldn't have to vote on this as part of your budget at all. You could leave it out of your budget. You could come to your first October meeting and you could vote to amend your budget to have an allocation to the chamber. So is it absolutely required that you take 2 votes on this? It's a little bit of an unusual circumstance, I would say, in an abundance of caution, that you're here, it's in front of you, vote on it and ratify it at your next meeting as if it were part of the budget, and better to take an unnecessary step than to skip what someone might later determine to be a necessary step.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Attorney.
All right.
Anybody else have any more statements to make?
Let's call the vote.
Okay, now let's hear what the motion is, please. Mr. Attorney, the motion on the table?
As I understood it, the motion was to fix an amount to vote to the Chamber of Commerce, and I'm not sure if I heard the last number. The only number I heard was 20. Is that the number?
No, we're agreeing to what was the proposed amount?
Agreeing to 30 for now.
Yes.
We're agreeing to 30, but we also need some type of financial statements from the chamber to see where the money's going, what they're receiving, and where the money's
what-
going.
By the
So
next
you've
budget
requested
meeting.
additional information. The point is that if you vote now, since this is still first reading, and again, as I said, to be consistent, because it is, if not a technical part of the budget having been severed, I think it may still be a technical part of the budget, but at least it is in the nature of budget. You have, nonetheless, it is going to come before you at final hearing as a separate item, by which time hopefully we'll have at least some kind of a ruling, if not a formal, at least an informal ethics opinion. And at that time, you can amend the amount that you choose to vote based on anything, including the degree and satisfactoriness, I'm not sure that's a word, of the information that you receive, and you can determine whether it is sufficient, and you may vote at final hearing any amount, provided that if you voted to increase the amount, there would have to be either a separate cut or some additional revenue source, because you still have to have a balanced budget.
Right, thank you. Mr. Manager, could you please see that we have that information when we get our, prior to the budget, so we can study it?
We'll make the request tomorrow morning.
Thank you. Anybody have anything else, or I would like the clerk to give a roll call for the vote. We are voting on $30,000 for the chamber with the understanding that prior to the second vote, they will bring us a financial analysis of how the city money is spent.
In an ethics opinion, informal or otherwise.
Yes.
I don't want to use the word at all, audit. Is that what you said?
No. I didn't say audit. I said informal ethics opinion or otherwise. That was.
A roll call, please.
Commissioner Joseph? Yes. Commissioner Smuckler?
Yes.
Commissioner Chernoff?
Yes.
Commissioner Florimon?
Yes.
Commissioner Jean?
Yes.
Vice Mayor Smith?
Yes.
Passes 6-0.
Motion to
Mr.
adjourn.
Mayor, please come back in.
Madam Vice Mayor, I just want to be recorded on 2.1 as a yes, if possible, on 2.1. Just wanted to put that on the record.
Yes,
Okay.
you're privileged to do that.
Thank you.
All right, so we can
You
move.
have to ask the clerk, but you have to tell the clerk how you wish to be recorded.
I wish to be recorded as a yes, 2.1. Thank you.
Motion to adjourn?
Second.
All in favor? Oh, sorry.
All right, motion to adjourn.
He made the motion.
Second? You got a
Second, we all voted
We
on it.
made it.
Okay. Perfect. We're adjourned. Thank you, guys, and we're early.